So I got this butcher block dining room table for my sister, who got a new table for her house, and she got it from my dad. My dad had it at a couple of homes for the course of over 30 years. So I kind of grew up with it. And when I got it from my sister, I figured I would basically make it a workbench in the shop, because we already have a beat up old table that I let my kids and dog and us kind of destroy upstairs in the dining room. So since I was committed to making these French cleats all over the shop, I realized I wanted to do something pretty cool with it. So I built this fold down frame with my dad. We first started by ripping the French cleat for the back plate, and the back I already had laying around, a piece of 3/4 birch on the lumber cart. And then we started ripping the frame to 3 inches thick. We cut all those pieces down to size and then drilled all of the hinge holes in every piece. So then we rounded out the ends of each piece as it connects to the hinge. You need to round out the edges so that the corners of the frame doesn't bind up when the hinge operates. So we assembled the whole back and put the hinge pieces on the back plate. And we started by putting the outside ends in first, and then sliding the closet pole on, and then connecting the middle pieces so that we can ensure that everything was in perfect alignment. And then it was time to assemble the frame itself. And after squaring this up and screwing it all together and putting it back on the hinge, here we have it. So here's a fun little trick for those of you that aren't familiar with it. To ensure that I'm not drilling too deep into the underside of the frame, I measured down from the tip of this 1-inch Forstner bit, made a mark on it, and then flagged blue tape at the location that I didn't want to go any deeper. So in this case, I want to go 1.5 inches into the underside of the frame. I'm using 2 1/4 inch lag bolts, and I want to make sure that those lag bolts don't penetrate further than 1 inch, so between 3/4 to 1 inch into the workbench itself. So as you drill through, the flag of the blue tape will meet the surface of the material that you're drilling into, and giving you basically a positive stop on how deep you want to go. It's a pretty cool trick. So after drilling 17 holes in the underside of the frame, I was ready to clean up and then set the frame back on the underside of the workbench. And I left 3 inches around the perimeter for room for clamps for material once the workbench is up, to clamp down material or clamp down a project. Now, before securing this to the underside of the bench, I wanted to make sure I put the hinge together completely to make sure that it wasn't binding, that everything was in perfect alignment before I secure this permanently to the underside of the bench. And those 2x4s on the top are simply extensions, basically, to allow my clamps to reach the ends of the table and clamp this thing into place. After getting all the lag bolts on, I could take the 2x4s off, finish off a few lag bolts that the 2x4s were in the way of, and I was ready to set this thing on the wall. So now that it's time to lift this thing up and into place, I'm realizing how heavy it actually is. If you're thinking about this for your shop or your space, just take into consideration your physical capabilities of being able to lift this up on a frequent basis or drop it down on a frequent basis. But for me, this is beginning to work out pretty well. So thanks for watching episode 1 of the folding workbench video. In episode 2, we're going to tackle the folding legs, some way to secure the legs up into place, and some way to make this an easier fold down and lift up. So if you like what you see, please subscribe, ring that notification bell so you don't miss the next episode, and I'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.